Hello and welcome back to day 29 of Spatial Psy.D. I'm Dr. Rivka Edery, and today for day 29, I'm going to tell you exactly what tonight is about because it's not what you think and it is easy to waste. Tomorrow is a review. Day 30 is a full revision session. All 30 maps on the table, 3 questions, the counting you prepared for last night. It is a real session, and it has a daily record like every other. But the weight of it is retrospective. Tomorrow, you look back, which means tonight is the last time you sit down and simply do the thing. No summing up, no stock taking, no 30 maps spread across the table. Just you and a deck and a table and a question and the same 5 steps you have run for 29 days. The last unremarkable session of the Practicum. And I know what the temptation is going to be tonight because it is the obvious one. You will want to phone it in. The sheets are built. The tests are scored. The real event is tomorrow. And tonight is the night before. A formality, a box to tick, a session to get through so that you have arrived on day 30 with a full set. Do not do that. And I'm going to spend today explaining why. Because the reason is not sentimental and it is not about finishing strong. It is that a session run as a formality is a corrupted data point, and it will be the last one you add to a corpus you are about to spend the rest of your life trusting. Look carefully at the shape of tonight's temptation. Because it is the same one you have been resisting for a month, arriving in its final costume, what you will feel, that tonight is a formality. The analysis is done. The sheets are built. You already have a rough sense of what your 30 days added up to, and one more session is not going to change it. What that actually is, sitting down at the table, having already decided what the record will say. And that is the one thing this method has forbidden since day 3. Every structure you have, the map freeze, the disconfirmation line, step 0, the sweep, exists to prevent exactly this. To stop you from arriving at the table with the answer already in hand and using the session to ratify it. Tonight, you will arrive with an entire month already in hand. So tonight is, in a very precise sense, the hardest session of the Practicum. Not because the work is harder. The work is identical. Because your prior is stronger than it has ever been. You have never sat down at that table with more preconception in your head than you will have tonight. And here is the thing that makes it matter rather than being merely ironic. Tonight's session is a data point. It goes on sheet 1. It goes into the void overlay. It gets counted tomorrow alongside the other 29, and it will be weighed exactly the same as all of them. If you run it as a formality, you will have deliberately introduced one contaminated observation into a corpus you are about to spend years trusting, and you will have done it on the last day when it was easiest to do properly. So here is the principle, and it is almost aggressively unglamorous. The last session is not a ceremony. It is a session. It gets the same 5 steps, the same semantic filter, the same map, frozen before the flip, the same disconfirmation line, written before you know, the same sweep in the same fixed order through the same regions you would rather not visit. And it counts for exactly as much as day 14, which is to say 1. One session, not a finale, not a summation, not an opportunity for the field to give you something meaningful on the last night, which is a thing you will find yourself half hoping for, and which is worth naming aloud so you can watch yourself hope it. Nothing about tonight is special. That's the point of it. That has been the point of the entire month. Think about what the alternative would look like. Suppose you did treat tonight as special, heightened, significant, a culmination. What would happen? You would sit down wanting something. And you know exactly what happens then, because it is the definition of noise that I have put in front of you 3 times. Noise is any impression that appears after effort, fear, desire, urgency, or a need to be right. A session you have decided is important is a session you have contaminated before you shuffled. The most respectful thing you can do to 29 days of honest work is to make the 30th day boring. Practically, tonight has 2 jobs, and both of them are real. The first, it is the final test point. You declare tests closed tomorrow. If you wrote, fewer than 3 of my next 5 sessions show a lower right void, this is dead. Then tonight is the 5th session. Tonight may be the one that decides it. Sit with that for a second, because it is a strange and useful position to be in. You may walk to that table tonight with a pattern that lives or dies on what happens in the next 20 minutes. And you must not touch it. You must run the session exactly as you would have run it on day 6 when you had no stake in anything and let the cards fall where your hands put them. That is the whole discipline of this method. Arriving at the moment where it costs the most. The second job. Tonight is the final sweep. Since day 26, you've been marking the region you almost skipped. Tonight is the 4th mark, and tomorrow you look at all 4 and ask whether they are the same region. If they are, you will have located your blind spot, empirically, as a place by watching yourself fail to look at it. I told you that is worth more than any pattern you could have confirmed, and I meant it. So do the sweep properly tonight, slowly. Every region in the fixed order, whether or not anything is there. Because the 4th data point is the one that turns 3 coincidences into a finding, or fails to, and tells you your eye is not as predictable as you thought. Either way, you need it. And tonight is your only chance to get it. And one thing to notice tonight, not to record. There is no field for this. Just to notice once while you are doing it. How long does it take you now? And how much of it did you decide to do? On day 3, that session was a sequence of deliberate acts. You had to remember to measure the gap. You had to decide to look at the empty space because your eye would not take you there on its own. Every step was held in working memory, effortfully, one at a time. Tonight, watch how much of it simply happens. The eye going to the void without being sent. The cluster reading as a single unit before you've named it. The hand reaching for the pen the moment something arrives before you have thought about whether to write it down. You did not decide to do any of that tonight. It is simply how you look at a table now. That is the thing you actually built, and it is the only part of this that no one can take from you. The notebook could be lost. The findings could all turn out to be nothing, and you would still walk into a room and see the distances in it. That is not a mystical claim, and I'm not making one. It is what happens to a perceptual system after 300 repetitions of a fixed sequence. It is the least surprising outcome in this entire method, and it is the most durable. Notice it tonight. Do not write about it. Just see that it is true. And then finish the session and go to bed, because tomorrow is long.